So if you now imagine modern genome and ancient genome, then taking the grades of white and black corresponding to different complexity, starting with white, which are simple repeats. At the bottom of the diagram on the top, you see only white bricks, and this is the genome and the origin of life. Those whites are obviously GGC. Then they start to mutate, go more gray towards the black, so that in the meantime, new pieces of simple sequences appear inside, and they all go to higher complexity, so that today we have genome with pieces of high complexity, moderate complexity, and still primitive repeating sequences, because they just emerged, that life just started. So far, so good, and I'm okay for Darwin's view, I'm okay for Warren's view, but here we're coming to the first point where I do not agree with Darwin. Namely, read it in full. If, and oh what a big if, we could conceive in some warm little pond with all sorts of ammonia and phosphoric salts, light, heat, electricity, etc. present, that the protein compound was chemically formed, ready to undergo still more complex changes. He of course didn't know about the existence of nucleic acids, so he put nucleic acids there as well. At the present day, such matter would be instantly devoured or absorbed, which wouldn't have been the case before living creatures were formed. In other words, put it simply together. Any new life which emerges would be immediately consumed by life which is already there. So the new origin of life would be impossible. Origin of life, according to Darwin, was a unique, singular phenomenon. With a new view on genome origin and evolution, the emergent life is not consumed by the earlier life, but rather protected by the environment within the cell, starting again and again and again, within the genome as habitat for new life to emerge. You, of course, heard a lot about so-called selfish DNA. The idea is that in our genomes there could be some DNA which just for its own purposes multiplies there, exists there, without much interfering with the genome. This will be, say, simple repeats. This selfish DNA actually would be useful. According to the idea of sum ona, there could be some sequences which are nonsense sequences, but they could be used as a building material to make something useful. The simple repeats we're talking about represent actually constantly emerging life, and therefore are much more important than just selfish life or selfish genes or gut DNA. Emerging life and the genomes are products of their everlasting expansion and domestication. Genomes are built largely by the expansion and mutational domestication of the tandem repeats. Genomes are the repeats. Some already are recognized. So let's take all 15 letter-long words from human genome. They're about 1 billion. Take the top of the list. What do you get on the top of the list? You get simple repetition T, 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 simple repetition A, 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 T, G, T, G, T, G. And you go on and hit the number 7, which is allo sequence. Allo sequence comes from allo transposable element. These are the most numerous transposable elements in human genome. You get about 1 allo repeat every 2,000–3,000 nucleotides. That's 10% of genome are made of these. So no wonder that at the very top of the list you find the sequence GCT, AGG, and so forth, out sequence. Then you get somewhat spoiled repeats, like you see that number 87 will be CTC, and then or you get repeats of tetramers, repeats of triplets, like AAT, happen to be the most frequent in human genome. And this list ends at the line 700 billion. So that not all a billion of all possible 15 meres are present in the human genome. Those which are missing apparently wouldn't have any biological meaning and would be avoided by the human genome, which they are. So in the vocabulary of human genome, 15 meres, the simple repeats, low complexity words dominate, as you saw from this table. The average occurrence of every word would be about 3, because 3 billion is the size of the genome, and 1 billion is the full list of possible words. Instead of 3, you have a million of TTTT, a million of AAA, at the expense of some words which are not there at all. The high complexity words of no repeat structure are expected to be rather avoided. And this is seen in the total word occurrence. That is, how frequently the words of small complexity appear and how frequently the words of high complexity. And you see that very clearly, low complexity words are words of the choice of the human genome. If you now analyze those if you take now the number 7 in the list coming from our sequences, a simple analysis shows that actually this also is repeating sequence. Because if you write it in triplets, as shown on the left, and make a consensus, then you see that the consensus is RYY, repeated 5 times. You have all R's in the first position, 3 pyramids of 5 in the second, and 3 pyramids of 5 in the third. So in 4-letter alphabet, you get GCT, aggressive triplet repeated. So it looks like that sequence, which has a complexity of about 0.7, actually almost obviously is modified simple repeating sequence. So if you have now those 15 meres, not by occurrence, but just a vocabulary list of words, and see how many simple and how many complex words you have, all those which would be below 0.7 could be considered as either simple repeats or their simple point mutations. All those which are above 0.7 would be complex sequences. And here as well, you see that natural sequences in red, they certainly prefer simple sequences rather than complex sequences shifted to the left, while black or blue, those are words which are missing, that distribution is shifted to the right. So this is another demonstration of the property of the genome. The genome does not like high complexity. Genome likes simplicity of the sequences. So the genomes are simpler than we have thought. They are dominated by simple sequences because they originate from simple sequences as non-stop local bursts of new life. And that ends my talk, and I'm grateful to those people who did the work, Zohar Koren, Harry Frankel, and Alexander holding high. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure that there could be plenty of questions. Yes.
And for a question, then do you think PCR, the polymerase chain reaction, is also a process of one? Because there
existing model of close to origin of life, I take a system of Spiegelman with few better replicates. In that system, he would have RNA and few better replicates which would copy complementarily that RNA. But this is equivalent to PCR, right? And good that you commented on PCR, because PCR also demonstrates the errors originating during the copy. You have a sequence, you try to copy it complementarily, and you make a mistake. Actually, since I said that life started with variation, I could equally say in the beginning was a mistake.
But then I have another question. In the time of the first, aggressive program sequences, what was the force that made them replicate?
Force which makes them replicate. Well, I would say this is just advanced chemistry, because today we could take RNA of simple sequence like poly-C, add oligogenes there, and then in form of cycloologene, and they would spontaneously synthesize a complementary strand, so that there is no problem to get replication abiotically, with no enzymes present. It's the work of Saladino and Dimao.
Okay, I guess Professor says.
Thank you very much. Something exciting. And from your point of view, bacteria should have gone further in evolution compared to eukaryotes, as there these repeats are not detectable anymore. What about this?
No, I think rather that since prokaryotes could afford massive death, all those inclusions of repeats which were even marginally not useful would be selected against immediately. That's why we don't see appearance of new repeats. While in eukaryotes, it's not like that. In eukaryotes, almost every gene you have has variants of that gene. So that even if you damage very much a given gene, the others will not have that damage, and everything will be seemingly all right. Of course, the selection takes its role as well, but not as brutally as in prokaryotes. In prokaryotes, simply these things are not allowed, or very rare.
Any other questions, please?
Excuse me, I wonder about your definition of life. Replication with variations. Is it possible to replicate without variation? If it is complex structure, is it possible without variation to replicate?
As experience of chemists and biochemists shows, you just cannot make just self-replication. There will always be mistakes. And PCR is the best thing. But if, for example, you copy a simple repeating triplet, then of course 97% of product will be that very sequence. Only a few sequences would have a mistake, but PCR is very treacherous. It would all of a sudden start to multiply those mistakes.
And what about crystals? What do you think? I think it was one question about replication crystal in nature. What is also alive?
Replication of crystals.
Yeah, but also with variations, I think.
No,
No?
it's not right. These variations are not inherited.
These are inherited variations.
They are not inherited.
So here it is also inheritance, yes?
Yeah, you could extend the definition putting inherited there, but self-reproduction already incorporated